the first time I performed was I did a performance, I think in the fourth grade talent show of DeBarge. I sang a DeBarge song. I was with this group and we rocked out. We did I think DeBarge I Like It, you know,
Mm.
ooh and I Like It. And we did I, but we didn't win. The dudes who won was doing some hip hop shit.
Mm.
So
Right, right.
the next year when I was in or maybe this was when I was in the third or fourth grade. So the next year, whatever year it was, I came back with a rap group, and we were called the Crash Crew. It was me, it was Beanie Siegel, and another one of my homies, this brother named Walik, and we came and we had two break dancers and my cousins doing graffiti on stage, and we had a human beatbox and just every element of the hip hop culture, except the DJ. Like we didn't have a DJ because we performed to a cassette, but all the elements were represented, and we wound up taking the title that year, and I sort of never looked back. Since then I was like, yeah, I'm a rapper now. You
Wow.
know?
Oh, hold up, Sean. Before you give me your unlikely influences, you were in school with Beanie Siegel in
Yeah,
like third, fourth grade.
yeah. We from the same neighborhood. He was younger
What?
than me. He was younger than me, like a year younger than me. So if I was in the fourth grade, he was in the third grade because his older sister was my classmate. But yeah, we from the same part of South Philly. Just like a block or so apart. And
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah, like we've known each other since we were babies. So that was both of our first rap performances was together. And
Okay.
yeah, so we go back like Cadillac seats. You know what I mean?
That's kind of mind blowing, man. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the rivalry you guys once had, if it was even a rivalry between um, the Roots and the Fugees? Was that a real rivalry or
Oh
what?
no, nah, that was never a rivalry, man. What it was with the Fugees was when the Fugees got on, when they signed to Columbia Records, Rough House Columbia. Questlove was an intern there at that label, and Scott Storch, who was a member of the Roots at the time, he had a deal at that label too with his partner Cam, who was an R&B singer. And so we used to be up in the offices all the time, running to one another in the studio. The Fugees was in Philly all heavy because they were essentially on a Philly label. Cypress Hill was on Rough House at the time. Nas, you know what I mean, for all intents and purposes. Again, like these are people who were associated with Columbia directly, eventually. But I think out the box at this specific point in time, it was like Rough House was handling their projects. So when we signed our deal, we finally signed our deal after a little bin war between Mercury and Def Jam and a couple other labels. We went with Geffen, and we had an album release sort of celebration performance. We like put on a party, and we hired a bunch of people, just some of our favorites. I think we had Onyx perform and J. Rue
Mm.
the Damager. J. Rue the Damager performed. We had Rozelle, who would later become a member of the Roots. We had him come down with Shaki, this female MC that he used to rock with, and they performed. And a bunch of Philly artists, you know what I'm saying, like Bahamadia and just people that we were already tight with. So when that took place, it was like the hot event in Philly at that time. And Rough House really wanted for the Fugees to be on that bill. They were like, yo, is there any way y'all could fit the Fugees in, like get them to perform with you guys? And I wasn't even really up on the Fugees at that point. I mean, I knew that that they had a record, and I would see Prize around Philly. But they had the Booth Boff joint out,
Hmm.
and that might have been it. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
yeah, we let him come through, question him because, like I said, he was an intern at their label, so they came through, whatever. We did like some sound check where everybody freestyled and rocked out with the instruments, and I think they had like maybe just guitar and bass. I think it was
Hmm.
just like Jerry Wonder and Wyclef, but El Boogie freestyled and me and Malik rocked out, and we had a good rapport. So we let them perform, and they performed, and then since we had a good relationship. Now during that time, I would just hear a little, you know what I'm saying, it was word on the street was that when you perform with the Fugees, like they had a habit of incorporating some of, if they was feeling your act, they would incorporate some of, boldly and blatantly just bite and shit. You know what I'm saying? Which I hadn't really seen. I hadn't experienced it firsthand. So I couldn't really speak to it. But then we went out on the road, and we went out on the road together actually to support them. We were supporting the Fugees on their first tour. Like this was the album, this was the tour during which their big record, The Score, that album came out. So it wasn't, I think it was, it was their introduction to a lot of people. And we were on the road, and I think it was The Roots and maybe Goody Mob was supporting the Fugees. And just on that run, you started seeing just some stuff that seemed like it was just a weird coincidence. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh wow, they doing this thing in their show now too, or you know what I mean? They got this section that they call this. You know what I mean? Like we always did like a hip hop 101 sort of thing, like the educational aspect of our performance, and just the whole live instrumentation thing. They'd always been a band, in the same way that we had always been a band, but and again, what I mean, I never said, "Oh, yo, y'all bid or whatever," but it was a lot of people, like quite a few artists who had did shows with them at that point, was like, "Yo, like the Fugees bit my shit." Like we came out, to this intro, and then the next day or the next time I saw them, they came out, doing the same shit, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's crazy." I never really could speak on it still. But then I started seeing him doing interviews, or Wyclef would do interviews where he would say stuff like, "We're the number one first original hip hop band, and if you see any other hip hop band performing, then they got it from the Fugees," and they, like essentially saying that, we hadn't always been doing what it was that we were doing. So I felt a kind of way about that, but it still was no love loss. It was never any love loss because we came up together. The Roots, the Fugees, the Goody Mob, Cypress Hill. My first big run that we did was supporting Beastie Boys, but these are all artists that we did a million shows with during that era, and I wouldn't change any of it. You know what I mean, for the world. Like I said, it's always been a friendly competition. It's some of the craziest shit. The most competitive nights would be in the middle of nowhere, where it's what I mean, the Goody Mob, then the Roots, and then the Fugees. Like, I mean, if you could imagine three stellar live bands from three different cities, and just with a completely different vibe, just all just putting on for their city with the instrumentation as well as the bars. So a lot of that made us the performers that we are, and gave me the mindset of, it doesn't matter, if I'm performing in a festival, and I gotta go on at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the headline ain't coming out until 8 or 9 at night. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna come out, and I'm still gonna be a hard act to follow. I don't give a fuck if it's 10 people performing between me and you. You know what I mean? When they tallying up who killed shit, who bodied the show, they're gonna be like, "Yo, did y'all catch the Roots?" You know what I'm saying? It was still daytime, but yo, they crushed it. You know what I mean? So that really, what I'm saying, that instills something within us that I feel like we still, that's still like the rule we abide by. And with almost, now, it was one point in my career where I didn't even want a headline. I prefer going on. It's gigs that we were the headline act, but we just still went on early. I want to go on before. Since I'm the headliner, I want y'all to follow us. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if y'all can rock after we burn shit down to the ground. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I say all that to say, no, there's never been a rivalry, like nothing real between the Roots and the Fugees, because they do what they do and we do what we do.